Did you know that this legendary TV show was responsible for one of the most heartbreaking events of the era? Known for its thrilling battles and heroic characters, the show harbors some of the darkest secrets in television history. Among them is the tale of a yellow Power Ranger involved in a horrific accident, marking one of the most horrifying moments in the series.
The 27-year-old actress died in a car accident near San Francisco during the Labor Day weekend.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the closely guarded secrets of the Power Rangers. Let's uncover the shocking truths that the controversial show, Power Rangers, doesn't want you to know. Chapter 1. The dark truth behind Malaysia's ban of Morphin Madness. When the Power Rangers Mighty Morphin first appeared on TV, they were expected to win over fans worldwide. However, in Malaysia, they ran into an unexpected problem. The term morphin in the show's name caused a lot of concern because it sounded too much like morphine, a very strong and habit-forming substance. The authorities were worried that kids might start to think that the hero's power to morph, or change, was somehow related to taking substances. Because of this, the show was not allowed to be aired at first, which confused and upset many fans. The people who made the show were not ready to give up on bringing the Power Rangers to Malaysia. They showed they were flexible and cared about their audience by agreeing to a compromise. They changed the show's name by removing the word morphin to avoid any wrong ideas about substances. This change allowed the Power Rangers to be welcomed in Malaysia, where they could entertain and inspire many fans. This situation showed how popular the Power Rangers were worldwide and that they could overcome cultural differences. All it took was a small change to the name, and the Power Rangers could share their adventures and positive messages with fans in Malaysia, proving that the show's charm and excitement could cross any boundary. The Yellow Ranger's role in the show was very inspiring and had a lasting impact on the series and its viewers. Chapter 2. The untimely and tragic end of Thuy Trang. Among the vibrant and dynamic characters of the show, Thuy Trang, who played the first Yellow Ranger, Trini Kwan, has a very special role. Her acting was more than just a job, it was a source of inspiration for many. She showed what it means to be strong, elegant, and a true friend. Sadly, Thuy Trang's life was cut short by a car accident in 2001, leaving her fans and fellow actors deeply saddened. This tragic event highlighted how quickly life can change. Thuy was only 27 years old when she died in an accident near San Francisco over the Labor Day weekend. In honor of Thuy Trang, the Power Rangers Time Force episode titled Circuit Unsure was dedicated to her. This act of remembrance showed how deeply she was loved and how her passing affected everyone connected to the Power Rangers, from the viewers at home to the actors on set. It was a way for the Power Rangers community to come together to grieve and celebrate the life of someone who had significantly impacted the show. Thuy Trang's role in the series and the way she lived her life continues to encourage people to be strong and to value friendship. Even though she is no longer with us, her legacy lives on in the Power Ranger story and in the hearts of those who admired her. The Power Rangers faced the stark realities of a tight budget and the daring it took to bring our heroes to life. Chapter 3. The dangerous cost-cutting of Power Rangers. The Power Rangers show was a hit with its exciting fights and colorful giant robots, but not many people knew about the financial struggles happening off camera. The team had to work with a very tight budget, which affected everything from the costumes the actors wore to the special effects used in battles. This need to save money made the crew come up with clever solutions, but it also meant they had to take some risks, especially when it came to keeping everyone safe. One of the times this risk became almost too real was while filming the episode Switching Places. This episode was about Billy and Kimberly accidentally ending up in each other's bodies. They needed to use fireworks and explosions to bring some of the scenes to life. Normally, these kinds of effects would go through many safety checks to ensure everyone was safe. However, because there wasn't much money, they couldn't do as many checks as they should have. This led to a very scary moment where the actors could have been hurt. Luckily, nothing bad happened, but it was a clear example of the tough spot the show was in. They had to keep making episodes that were exciting and full of cool effects, while also making sure that the cast and crew were not in danger. It was a tricky balance, showing just how hard everyone had to work to make the show we all loved while dealing with the reality of their limited budget. Now we shift our gaze to the origins of Rita Repulsa, peeling back the layers of her character to discover a story steeped in tragedy and complexity from a faraway land. Chapter 4. The heart-wrenching Japanese origins of a classic villain. Rita Repulsa is a well-known villain from the Power Rangers, famous for her over-the-top evil plans and dramatic anger. But what many fans might not know is that her character originally comes from a Japanese show where she was called Witch Bandora. This version of her character has a much more tragic and complex story. In Japan, Bandora's fight against the heroes is not just about wanting to conquer the world, it's about her deep sadness and anger over losing her son, who was killed by a dinosaur. This devastating loss pushes her to make a dark deal, trading her soul for the power to get revenge on those she blames for her suffering. This backstory adds layers to her character that we don't see in the American version, where she is mainly just seen as a villain trying to defeat the Power Rangers. In the Japanese series, her actions are driven by her grief and desire for vengeance, making her more than just a simple bad guy. When adapting Bandora to become Rita Repulsa for American audiences, the show's creators decided to tone down these darker elements. They wanted to make sure the show was suitable for kids, so they changed her into a character who, despite being a threat, often ends up being funny with her exaggerated evil plans and outbursts. This choice meant that Rita, while still a villain, became a source of entertainment in the show, with her failed schemes and dramatic reactions adding humor to the battles against the Power Rangers. This difference between the two versions of the character shows how the same character can be interpreted in various ways, depending on the audience and the show's overall tone. Now let's look at when the mask of fame often weighs just as heavily as the costumes they wear. Chapter 5. The impact of sudden fame. Before the show, these actors were not well known, but suddenly they were right in the middle of a huge pop culture wave. This sudden fame was exciting, but also brought big challenges, especially for Austin St. John, who played the Red Ranger, Jason Lee Scott. He became very popular for his role as the team leader, attracting many fans. However, he wasn't ready for how intense this attention would be. Fans would wait outside his house, hoping to see him, which made it hard for him to keep his personal life separate from his role on the show. This attention got so overwhelming that he had to change where he lived, not just once, but twice, to find some peace and get back a bit of a normal life. This shows how being suddenly famous can change everything. While being recognized for your work can be great, it can also mean losing your privacy. For Austin St. John and the rest of the cast, becoming so well known so quickly meant they had to navigate these new challenges, balancing their public roles with their private lives. Now let's get into where the cast faced a marathon of filming that tested their stamina and fortified their bonds in the face of unyielding deadlines. Chapter 6. The challenge of non-stop filming. The show's making was marked by an incredibly demanding filming schedule that pushed everyone involved to their limits. The show became an instant hit, which meant viewers always wanted more episodes, fast. This put much pressure on everyone to make the show work quickly and create new content without much break. This constant rush affected their lives outside of work, as they were caught up in a never-ending filming cycle. The need to keep producing episodes meant very long workdays, often stretching into weekends. There was hardly any time left to relax or attend to personal matters. Cast members often stayed at each other's places to manage this intense schedule. This was to cut down on travel time and ensure they could get to the set as early as needed. Despite these tough conditions, a positive outcome was the strong bond that formed among the cast. They became like a family, supporting each other through the tough times and making sacrifices for the show's and its fans' sake. A specific example of how demanding their schedule could be is seen in their response to the 1994 Northridge earthquake. Even with the chaos and damage caused by the earthquake, the actors who played the Yellow and Pink Rangers still made it to work just a few hours after the disaster struck. This dedication shows just how committed they were to the show, but it also highlights the extreme demands placed on them by the tight filming schedule. Now let's examine the individual who, facing a marathon of perseverance through skepticism and rejection, ultimately realized a vision that would redefine children's television. Chapter 7. the ruthless struggle behind a visionary's triumph. The concept of transforming a Japanese superhero series for American viewers was innovative but faced skepticism. Television networks were unsure and couldn't envision the appeal that the creator saw in the mix of vibrant costumes, lessons on right and wrong, and energetic action scenes. Despite these setbacks, the creator never lost faith in his vision. He was convinced that the story, which centered on ordinary teenagers, given the extraordinary task of saving the world, would resonate universally. He believed that the combination of live-action scenes and special effects could captivate audiences. His persistence finally paid off when Margaret Lowe, the president of Fox Children's Network at the time, saw the potential. Lowe appreciated the innovative blend of action, humor, and heartfelt moments, and decided to give the project the green light. This decision paved the way for the show to become a staple of 1990s pop culture. It showed that even the most skeptical industry gatekeepers could be convinced with determination and a unique idea. This success story is a testament to not giving up even when faced with continuous rejection, and highlights the show's transformation from an uncertain concept to a beloved cultural phenomenon. Now the impact of their on-screen battles began to echo in the real world, challenging the creators to defend the very essence of the show. Chapter 8. When children's TV turns dangerous. As the show became a worldwide hit, it also entered into controversies that tested its strength. The very action scenes that made the show exciting to watch were now under scrutiny. There was a growing debate about how watching violence on TV could influence young children. Parents and groups looking out for children's welfare argued that even though the fights in the show were make-believe, they might make kids more likely to act aggressively. These concerns weren't just talk. They led to real consequences for the show's airing. In some places, the pushback was so strong that the Power Rangers were taken off the TV. For instance, Norway stopped showing the show after reports that kids were getting hurt trying to copy the Power Rangers' moves. New Zealand also had a big discussion about whether the show was suitable for kids, which resulted in it being temporarily removed from the TV lineup. These situations highlighted how different cultures have different views on what's too violent for TV and the ongoing struggle to find the right balance between being creative and being mindful of the show's impact on society. It showed that while the Power Rangers were beloved by many, there was also a significant concern about the kind of message the show was sending to its youngest viewers, and the responsibility of those making and airing the show to consider these effects. Now let's step into a controversial chapter where the thrill of action clashes with the responsibility of influence in children's television. Chapter 9. Zordon's torturous creation. The way Zordon, the mentor of the Power Rangers, came to be is a fascinating example of creativity and quick work during the show's early days when money and time were tight. David Fielding, the actor in Zordon, managed to film all his parts in just one long day. This was no small feat, considering the show's limited resources at the time. Playing Zordon meant Fielding had to sit perfectly still for hours, while the crew filmed his face from different angles to catch every possible expression he might need to show as Zordon. This role was challenging both physically and mentally. Fielding had to use only his facial expressions to bring across Zordon's wisdom and leadership without moving the rest of his body. After filming, these shots of his face were edited onto a tube-shaped screen to make it look like Zordon's head was floating in an interdimensional portal. This clever use of effects and Fielding's hard work in that one marathon day of shooting created one of the show's most memorable characters. It's a great example of how the team behind the Power Rangers made the most of what they had to bring their characters to life, even under the pressure of tight budgets and schedules. Leaving behind the heated debates, we delve into the behind-the-scenes magic, where the creation of a mentor figure epitomizes the innovative spirit of the show. Chapter 10. Forbidden Romance. In an interesting plot twist that was never shown to viewers, the creators once thought about having Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, and Skull, known as one of the show's troublemakers, end up together in marriage. This idea would have been a big change from how the two characters started out, showing a side of Skull that audiences hadn't seen and a complicated development in their relationship. The plan was quite daring, aiming to surprise fans by going against what they might expect and adding more depth to the story. It was a nod to the idea that people can change over time and that initial impressions don't always hold true, moving past the simple battle of good versus evil. This storyline would have delved into how characters can grow and come to understand each other, highlighting the possibility of unexpected connections and personal growth. However, the team behind the show eventually chose not to pursue this romantic plot. Their decision was based on several factors, including worries about how young viewers might react and how to fit this relationship into the show's main messages of teamwork and friendship. As we leave the realm of character creation, we venture into the unseen corridors of narrative possibilities, exploring a romance that challenges preconceived notions of heroes and villains. Chapter 11. The Hidden Truth of the Power Rangers Action. The show is famous for its exciting action scenes, which were made possible by using footage from the Japanese series it was based on. This clever method allowed the show to include complex battle scenes and monster fights without the high costs of filming these from the beginning. However, this technique meant that the show faced some unique challenges, especially regarding the American cast's role in these action-packed scenes. Since most of the action was done by the original Japanese actors and stunt people, the American actors were mostly seen in scenes without their superhero costumes. This setup created a special way of making the show where the Japanese team mostly performed the action parts, and the American actors focused on bringing their characters to life in the regular, everyday scenes. This division wasn't very well known, making it less clear how much the American actors contributed to the action side of the show. It was an interesting blend of international collaboration that brought together Japanese action sequences with American storytelling. But it also meant that the physical efforts of the American cast in the show's dynamic battles weren't as recognized as they might have been if the situation were different. Turning away from the roads not taken, we uncover the hidden layers behind the show's iconic action scenes, revealing a unique fusion of international talent that shaped its success. Chapter 12. Voice of Evil, the harrowing exploration to perfect Rita Repulsa. Barbara Goodson, who provided the voice for Rita Repulsa, the show's main villain, initially faced a tough job. She had to come up with a voice for a character that was already brought to life visually by a different actress. The goal was to create a voice that would fit Rita's extravagant evilness and her unique look. It was important that the English voiceover matched the character's actions on screen and connected with the audience. However, Goodson's first attempts at voicing Rita didn't quite hit the mark in capturing the character's wicked nature. The show's producers were looking for a voice that could truly represent Rita's villainy, but it also had to suit the show's over-the-top and dramatic style. This led Goodson to try out a range of voice pitches and styles, from low and threatening to shrill and squeaky, to find the right one for Rita's on-screen character. This process of finding the perfect voice was crucial for making the character of Rita Repulsa believable and memorable for the audience, adding to the character's depth and making her a standout villain in the show. From the synergy of stunts and acting, we shift to the vocal alchemy in the studio, where the creation of a villain's voice becomes a journey of trial, error, and ultimate triumph. Chapter 13. From Amateur Experiment to Cult Phenomenon. Before the show became the well-loved classic we know, it underwent many changes from its first unaired pilot to the version that captured hearts worldwide. This early version served as a rough draft, showing what the show could be and featuring many differences from what it eventually became. A significant change was the casting of the Yellow Ranger. In this initial version, Trini was played by a different actress, not Tui Trong, who would later be closely identified with the role. This switch was crucial for how the character was seen and the chemistry among the Ranger team. Another big change involved the character of Billy, the Blue Ranger. Originally, in the pilot, he was given the last name Cranston as a tribute to Bryan Cranston, a famous actor who, before his later roles, lent his voice to some of the series' characters. The pilot explored various storylines and character backgrounds, adjusting the mix of teenage life and superhero battles to better appeal to its audience. These adjustments show the thoughtful development that went into creating the series, ensuring it struck the right chord with viewers by refining character dynamics and the overall story. This process of evolution from the pilot to the series demonstrates how the creators work to find the perfect balance that would make the show a hit. Echoing the nuances of voice and character, we now trace the series' evolution from its raw beginnings to a refined cultural phenomenon, capturing the essence of its enduring appeal. Chapter 14, Dangerous Acts. The show's thrilling action and dynamic fight scenes came with real risks for the actors and stunt crew, who faced the physical challenges of making these scenes believable. Despite careful planning and choreography, accidents and injuries sometimes happen, highlighting the dangers of performing stunts. The actors and stunt team often pushed themselves to the limit, which, although it brought the action to life, also led to injuries. A significant example involved Jason David Frank, known for his role as Tommy, the Green Ranger. Frank, who was not only an actor but also a trained martial artist, did many of his own stunts. However, even with his skills, the demanding nature of the stunts meant that accidents could happen. On one occasion, a kick went wrong, and Frank needed a quick trip to the emergency room. Fortunately, he returned to the set soon after, showing the cast's commitment to making the show as exciting and authentic as possible. This incident and others like it underline the balance between creating exciting television and ensuring the safety of everyone involved in the stunt work. Let's look at the risky stunts that make the show exciting but dangerous. Chapter 15, Crippling Phobia. Amy Jo Johnson, known and loved as Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, portrayed her character with a natural elegance, making it seem like she effortlessly embraced the Pink Ranger's courageous spirit. However, off-camera, Johnson faced a personal challenge that went against the bravery her character often displayed. She was significantly afraid of heights. This fear wasn't a minor issue. It directly impacted how certain scenes in the show were filmed, particularly those that involved high places or stunts off the ground. The team behind the show understood her fear and worked creatively to manage this issue. They found ways to adapt for scenes that required her character to be up high or do aerial maneuvers, key elements in the show's dynamic and adventurous style. They used clever filming techniques, such as special camera angles and editing tricks, to make it look like Johnson was performing high up in the air, even though they arranged things to keep her feeling secure and comfortable on the ground. This approach allowed them to include all the exciting elements of the show, while respecting the actress's limits and ensuring her safety. Next, we see how Amy, the Pink Ranger, bravely faced her fear of heights. Chapter 16, The Dark Evolution of Zords. The Zords, giant robotic creatures controlled by the Power Rangers, are crucial to the show's excitement. Originally, the creators had a different vision for these iconic machines. They thought about using mythical beasts as the models for the Zords, drawing from legends around the world to create a variety of magical and powerful robots that would capture the audience's imagination. This idea aimed to explore a wide range of myths, bringing to the screen Zords that were as diverse as they were enchanting. However, as the show developed, the creators decided to take a different path. They chose to base the Zords on dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures, a decision influenced by multiple reasons. One of the main reasons was how well dinosaurs connected with the young viewers of the show. Dinosaurs have a universal appeal and a sense of mystery that fascinate children, making them a more relatable choice than mythical figures. This choice also worked well with the practical aspects of producing the show. The available footage from the Japanese series, which the Power Rangers used for many of its action scenes, fit better with Zords that were dinosaurs rather than mythical creatures. By choosing prehistoric animals as the inspiration for the Zords, the creators tapped into the timeless fascination with these extinct creatures, ensuring the Zords would be instantly recognizable and beloved by fans. This decision highlighted the balance between creative vision and practical considerations, ultimately shaping the Zords into the memorable elements of the franchise that continue to thrill viewers. Now discover how the Zords changed from mythical beasts to cool dinosaurs. Chapter 17, Jason David Frank's Dangerous Influence. You see, Frank's martial arts background allowed him to add a genuine touch of skill and complexity to his character's battles, making them stand out. Because he could perform many stunts and martial arts moves himself, The show's creators were inspired to create more complex and daring fight sequences. His ability to do these moves meant that the choreography could be more ambitious, incorporating a wide variety of techniques showcasing physical strength and the discipline and precision of martial arts. As a result, the fight scenes involving his character were entertaining and paid tribute to the art of fighting, emphasizing skill over brute force. This approach raised the standard for how martial arts were presented in the show, with Frank's performances becoming a key feature that fans looked forward to. His contribution went beyond his character, influencing the overall quality and excitement of the show's action sequences, and highlighted the importance of martial arts discipline and technique in the Power Rangers universe. Up next, see how Jason's martial arts skills made the fights even cooler. Chapter 18: Behind the Red Ranger's Controversial Comeback. The reasons he left were not simple. They involved disagreements over contracts and his wish to try new things. Yet his journey with the Power Rangers didn't end there. To the delight of fans everywhere, St. John made an unexpected return to the series in the Power Rangers Wild Force special episode called Forever Red, which brought together Red Rangers from different seasons. This comeback was not just exciting for the viewers, but also meaningful for the actors involved. It celebrated the long-standing impact of the original series and its characters, making it a memorable event that honored the show's history and the special place it holds in fans' hearts. St. John's return was a testament to the lasting connection between the series and its audience, showing that the legacy of the original Power Rangers continues to resonate years after its debut. Then learn about Austin St. John's surprising return as the Red Ranger. Chapter 19: Glamour versus Suffering. The memorable costumes of the Power Rangers are unforgettable to fans, capturing the unique powers and personalities of each character. Yet these eye-catching outfits came with their own set of problems for the actors. Initially made to look good on screen rather than to be practical, these costumes caused quite a few issues during filming. Made from tight spandex, the suits limited how much the actors could move, making it hard to do the complex martial arts moves and stunts the show is known for. Actors often found it tough to perform high kicks or backflips, increasing the chance of accidents and injuries while shooting. Moreover, the helmets, an essential part of the costume to hide the Rangers' identities, had visors that made it hard to see. This lack of clear vision made navigating the sets and interacting with other characters during scenes more complicated than it needed to be. These visibility and mobility challenges meant that actors had to work even harder to bring their characters to life, often facing obstacles that viewers would never know just by watching the exciting battles and heroic poses on screen. Coming up, a look at the struggles behind the Power Rangers' awesome costumes. Chapter 20: Overcoming Physical Limitation. Walter Jones, celebrated for his role as Zach Taylor, the original Black Ranger, brought unmatched energy and agility to his character, quickly becoming a favorite among fans. However, many were unaware of a personal hurdle he managed with great skill. He was missing his middle finger. This detail about Jones was never highlighted in the show, and it did not affect his lively portrayal of Zach. Both Jones and the production team were very thoughtful in how they handled this, making sure his hand was positioned in a way that kept the focus on his character's story and the show's action-packed scenes. They cleverly arranged his movements, whether he was in his Ranger suit or not, to showcase his abilities without drawing attention to his hand. Jones's talent in performing elaborate dance and martial arts routines without making his missing finger noticeable is commendable. This careful attention to detail ensured that the audience's attention remained on his performance and the exciting adventures of the Power Rangers, showcasing how personal challenges can be navigated with creativity and determination. How awesome was that sneak peek into the Power Rangers world? If you're hungry for more amazing stories and secrets, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe.